Hello there. I've made this little interpolation tool and I figured that I found it quite useful, so I'd stick it up on my website for you guys to download just in case any of you have got a use for it too. Basically all it is a way to interpolate points on a graph, which is a little bit like working with a paper graph and a ruler to sketch out a line and then come to some values by marking off readings. It's kind of in between doing an interpolation by calculation and working from a paper graph, which is quite handy. It's sort of an intuitive way to work, but also then you can take a screenshot of the graph itself and put that into a report or something else that you might want to communicate to somebody outside. So we put some data in this section here. We have X data and Y data. That throws up a graph over here, and then we can move some crosshairs about. So I'll show you how I've got this to work so far. Right, so just to get some data into the tool to start off with, I'm going to use just some tabulated data from Wikipedia, which is the vapor pressure of water. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put headings. It's always good to put headings on a graph, and then I'm going to paste the data in. I'm going to use temperature in degrees C and pressure in kilopascals, but clearly that could be absolutely anything. That doesn't matter at all. Okay, last bit. Right, so once you've done that, you can see you've got a table of data here, and then you can see that thrown up over here on the tool is just a graphical representation of that. So along the bottom I've got temperature in degrees C. I've also got a reading for temperature in degrees C, which we'll see in a minute. We've got a Y value of kilopascals, which is the y-axis over here, and I could update this data if I wanted to. So the idea is that I'm going to put a cursor over here somewhere and then a cursor somewhere else, and then be able to do a linear interpolation between those 2 points quite easily. So to show you how that looks, we'll use these sliders. So that's my end point, and then say my start point would be here somewhere. So when I'm doing this kind of interpolation, I can see how well of a, or how good a fit that line is over the graph, and I can see whether for the thing that I'm looking at it for, if that's going to be a very conservative or maybe a measurement that doesn't have so much safety factor in it. So there we go. And then if I want to take a reading somewhere along this line, then all I need is to move this slider along here. And then I can read off precise estimated values for temperature and pressure. If I wanted to do some extrapolation and measure or estimate something that might be off at the end of this curve, what I can do is I can move the parameters of the graph out a little bit, and then the scale of my line changes. I can then just go back and put this somewhere useful. And then you can see if I wanted to, I can start estimating data just off of the end of that line. And if I wanted to go for a data point right in the middle of these two positions here, I can just type in a factor of 500 in this box, and that will give me a 50-50 movement along that line to report data. And then I can read that data again precisely from here. If I wanted to go for 25%, type in 250, and so on. So you can be quite accurate, but also quite easy going with how you use this tool. And then once you've got some meaningful measurement that you want to use, you can literally just take a snapshot of that graph and then clip that to a report or use that somewhere else. Okay, well, I find it useful. I hope that somebody out there might also find it useful. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to subscribe and to like. Thanks a lot. Bye.